Hello. Welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here this evening for many reasons. You're here for the book talk and the signing, but this is also the first public event that we've had in our building that we've owned for 2 years, and that is fabulous for us. Yeah. The structure of the evening is such that Hamid will give his talk and there'll be a Q&C afterwards. He'll begin with a very short meditation and he'll give some instructions on that. So I want to say that it's quite a treat to have Hamid do this book talk. It's the last of the Diamond Heart series. It's not the last of the books. There's more coming. In fact, this particular book is a compilation of his talks that he gave in the 80s on the subject. So a lot has happened since then. When we discovered the absolute reality at that time, Hamid was thinking this was the end, and he was ready to say, okay, we're finished, and the work is done. However, it kept coming and coming and coming, and that mystery keeps revealing itself. And as many of you know, the word Almaas means diamond in several languages, actually. Arabic and actually some of the Scandinavian languages and others. And he is, as I see it, the diamond tip of a pen of a mysterious sort that has been giving a great contribution to spiritual discourse for many years. And there's been a great deal of interest in building bridges between the mundane and the esoteric and cosmic, between the individual and the divine, and so on. And what Hamid's teachings and writings are showing us is that we cannot make those bridges because they're already there. They're not ours to make. They're actually part of the structure of reality. And that is a fabulous discovery in and of itself. So I think at this point I'd like very much to introduce my friend, the diamond like no other, A.H. Almaas, known to me and many as just Hamid.
I'd like us to begin with a 5-minute silent meditation. Whatever meditation you know. If you don't know meditation, just feel your breath for 5 minutes quietly. I'll begin it and end it with a bell. First, I want to thank Karen for a nice introduction of me and the event, and for the organizers, John and Holly and others, and very many people are actually involved in making an event like this possible. And happy to have you all here in our new place, new center, that we can have all of you here. Nice. So what do we do here? What's the book's about? Why so many books? It's amazing the responses I get from people. Mostly people come tell me, thank me for the books and send me things. But I've also had people come tell me they really hate me for writing the books. And, I hate having to read all of that, having to know all of that stuff. They wish they didn't hear about it. I used to think of it as a job I was given, a task. I said, well, this is your job, you do that. And that's one way of looking at it, and has become more, that's just what is happening. Doesn't need to be explained. So all of it has to do with a kind of inner work, kind of what people call spiritual work of finding our spiritual nature, our spiritual side, and how is that important and necessary for liberation, for freedom, for enlightenment. And what does that do to us and to our lives? How basically to live life the way human beings can live life. How to actualize the potential that is present in the fact that we're human beings. Not easy. Most human beings don't actualize much of their potential. Most human beings don't have the opportunity to actualize much of their potential, a little bit here and there. And most human beings don't even know that they have much potential. Even people who believe they have potential, they know very little what's the potential for a human being. What's potential, what we can experience, what we can be, what we can do, what we can live, what we can express, what we can create. So this teaching that we call the diamond approach, sometimes referred to as diamond heart. The diamond heart has become sort of the name of the programs that we do in applying the teaching. Teaching that has developed and has been developing and continues to develop and revealing at some point that it is not of the nature of this teaching to end its development, that it has no end to its development, which is saying something very significant about what reality is and what creativity, what our potential is. That our potential is endless, regardless how far we go, what we find. So, one way I was thinking, one way of saying it is, if you can't or won't spend 20 years in a monastery, if you can't or not willing to spend 10 years in a cave, what do you do? What's the option you have to find out about reality, about being human, about what's it all about and what's possible? What do you do? Because usually it's not easy. It might happen sort of incidentally for somebody here and there, but what happens is partial, even though it's earth-shaking. So usually it takes, as I said, 20, 30 years in a monastery, 10, 20 years in a cave by yourself to really plumb the secrets of existence, to really find what is nature of a human being, what is the nature of reality, what is reality, what it can be, where it's going. It's a big job. So how do we do it? Since, I guess, most of us here, not all of us, not living in monasteries and then no good caves around. What do we do? So in this work, we deal with this, is that we use what we got. We don't have to look for a specific situation. We use what we got. What have we got? What have you got? Your life. The everyday life. Yourself, your everyday experience, your everyday life. So this work is basically how to approach our everyday life, our everyday experience in such a way that becomes a practice that is as powerful as spending 20 years in a monastery or 10 years in a cave. And it is quite a story. So the book spells out some of the details of the teaching, the methodology, and of how to use life as practice. When I mean life, I mean ordinary life. Everyday life, having your breakfast, taking your shower, talking to your friends, talking on the phone, going to work, driving your car. All these things, how all these can become, and whatever we experience, our feelings and thoughts and states and impulses and desires and wants and disappointments and plans, how all that, all the content can become the fuel for the practice, the content of the practice, of a way of working with oneself. That's what we do. We discover many things, and this last book of the series basically details the discovery and the exposition of certain dimensions of reality that can be discovered through knowing our life, exploring our life, inquiring into our own personal experience and our experience in our life, and what are its possibilities, what are its limitations, what the limitations are about, what happens when we free of these limitations, what do we discover about ourselves, about others, about reality, about ourselves with others, and with reality. So we discover a whole thing about, not only about what and why we do what we do and feel what we feel and suffer or rejoice the way we do, but we discover a whole universe of experience that is usually not available in the ordinary realm, which many people call the spiritual universe. And what we discover, that the spiritual universe is really a universe. Just like the physical universe is a universe, the spiritual universe is a universe. It's not one thing. The spirit is not just one single monolithic quality or truth, and that's it. The spiritual universe is a whole universe. So one way of thinking of it is thinking like when you look at our modern science, for instance, look at the different kinds of scientific endeavors. I'm looking at really hard science, like you take biological sciences. You have the biological sciences, which is the studies of life and the organisms of life and the organs of and how that works and all of that. But the biological sciences will not work without understanding chemistry, without understanding organic chemistry, because chemistry and organic chemistry are at the basis of biological life. So you could think of those three grades that all depend on each other. And of course, the chemists, they think they're really dealing with the real thing, and the biologist or brain scientists, they think they're really at the cutting edge, and the physicists think they're really dealing with what really matters. Spiritual people are the same. There's a spiritual universe, there's a dimension of it, there's some part of the spiritual universe that's sort of similar to the biological sciences. It has to do with organism, That's what I call the realm of an individual consciousness, the realm of mind, individual consciousness, which sometimes I refer to as the soul, some other teaching tradition. And what is the experience? What is that? What are its properties? What are its experiences? What's possible for it, and all of that. Just like a biological organism. And then we have the realm of chemistry and organic chemistry. That has to do with the form, the qualities of spiritual experience, spiritual forms, spiritual manifestation of various kinds that sort of go in between the individual consciousness and the basis of reality. The basis of reality, what physics studies, is sort of what are the ultimate constituency of matter. Here, what is the ultimate constituency of spirit? We get to what's called the transcendent, or the ground true nature of reality. And in between, the chemistry and the biochemistry is all the qualities and the forms and the various experiences and visions, and that sort of is in between. And then there is the realm of corresponds to what's physics, or elementary particles side of physics, which is what are the simplest elements of reality. That if you remove everything, what will be left? Is there anything will be left? And if there is anything, what is it? So that will take us to what's called the ground, or the transcendent. And different teaching actually emphasize one. All teaching, to be really true spiritual teaching, you have to have all the three. And some emphasize one over the other. And they're like the alchemists into the middle region, all the interaction and between things, and the color and the shapes and the different, the sulfur and the elixir and the mercury and all these things. While the people who are into the soul is the soul and its manifestation and its visions and its relationship to God and and the absolute. And then there are people who are interested in the ground, and they talk about realizing the ground nature, or the ground spirit, the divine essence, or the ultimate nature, or the absolute nature. And believing that if you really know that, if you recognize that, if you realize that, you've made it. And I think it's true, but I think it's only part of the story. Even though it's true, if we recognize the ground nature, we're liberated, we're free, it is part of the story of the spiritual universe. The spiritual universe is the whole universe. You could spend millions of lifetimes exploring. And that is what we do in the Diamond Approach. You see? We're not only interested in getting enlightened and be done with it. You see? We're interested in exploring the spiritual universe, and not only that, how it is